What's up, y'all? I just topped with my red-yellow princess deck at a set championship, so here's my how to pilot video. I think to start, we should look at the cost curve of this deck. So for starters, the majority of your deck is going to be 1s, 2s, and 3s. We're playing 12 1-drops, 16 2-drops, and 14 3-drops. Now, the reason for that is, honestly, a lot of these 2-drops are just very useful and make up the core of your deck's tech. Meanwhile, your 1-drops are typically just the starting out and what you need to get going in the game. And your 3-drops are typically your just like final boss cards before you get to turn 4, which is typically where the game should take a turn for who's gonna win. Taking a look at our 1-drops, as I said earlier, these are your setup cards. We're playing 4 of the Mulans, 4 Auroras, and 4 Daisies. The Mulans act as a shift target for your big Mulan. The Auroras are just able to get out stuff cheaper and faster and act as your deck's perfect curve, whether you're going aggro or control based. And Daisy is just our generically good Amber card. You don't typically play her until later in the game, but if she's all you got, you have no reason not to play her at the beginning of the game. Now, I will add, we really don't use this Mulan much as a shift target in the beginning of the game. The same Mulan that you'll put out at the start of the game is not the same Mulan you're probably going to shift on later in the game. She gets shot down really quickly into steel. She'll get bounced by anyone who knows you have the shift target in your deck. She's typically just a hard card to keep out until that moment comes. But what we do like is using her as a little tech of saying, hey, I play the red Mulan, and then swinging her into stuff because she does have the 2-3 stat line. Moving on to our 2-drops, these are our deck's tech and general cards. We're playing 4 Lumieres, 4 Queen Sensor Cores, 4 Queen of Hearts, and 4 of the Vanellope Von Schweetz 2-drop. Now, the Lumieres are here purely to help us get past the hurdles of Under the Sea. Lumiere also helps with our Mulan shift if we happen to shift onto something. If we happen to shift Mulan while Lumiere's out, now she's swinging 6 instead of 5 to get past some of the resist play I'm seeing right now. On top of that, Lumiere works really well into our supporters, buffing our supporters so that we can support opposing characters and World's Greatest Criminal mine them later. Our Queen of Hearts is a shift target. We do in fact play the Queen of Hearts shift. Very useful, but typically doesn't get played. This is only shifted really if the card happens to be out and you don't want to pay 5 for her, but typically more is better on board, so I would typically hardcast the Queen of Hearts instead of playing her outright on top of another one. Our Vanellope Von Schweetz, her effect being that whenever she quests, you can negate 1 attack off another character until the start of your next turn. Really doesn't get used unless you do happen to have her out and she is a questable target. Otherwise, she exists in here purely as a easy 2-drop princess to play. We used to play the Vanellope shift, but that was a little too slow, but I'm glad to see that she got to stick around for the final deck build. Now finally, let's talk about this beautiful card right here, the Queen Sensor Core. This is the best card in the deck, off of nothing else than the fact that almost no decks are playing item removal right now, aside from blue-green. And this will purely gain you 1 lore a turn as long as you have another princess character out. A lot of the game's meta has shifted from questing and seeing if your opponent can remove your other character's actions to being able to say stay and just passing turn without tapping a single character. Locations were an idea people had for a minute to get out of that loop of not being able to gain any lore, but this 1 archetype locked item actually gains a lot of lore really fast. It starts with just 1, but now once you have 2 out, you're threatening 2 lore a turn just by playing a princess. And remember, removal is pretty slim right now and few and far between in decks. Blue-purple specifically has Into the Unknown, but that only works on exerted characters. So having a item that gains you lore and rewards you for not doing anything is very valuable in this meta. On top of that, the secondary effect does get used pretty often once you start making it to late game. You may tap your item and 2 ink and reveal the top card of your deck, and if it's a princess or a queen, you can put it into your hand. And now here's the really important part. Otherwise, put it on the top of your deck. You are now guaranteed every single time that if you have a Beak King or a World's Greatest Criminal Mind or any useful card on top of your deck that isn't a princess, you still get it in hand next turn. Now, sometimes that can be to a detriment of the game. Sometimes you would just rather pitch something to the bottom and be able to use another Censor Core, but I find that to be a pretty rare scenario. Let's move on to 3-drops. We are playing 4 World's Greatest Criminal Mind, 4 Queen Set 9, and 3 Tiana Legendaries, and 3 Mulan Supporters. Now, to make this very simple, this is a generically good card. This gets rid of all our Maui Sharks and anything we support. A lot of this deck's removal is based around supporting your opponent's characters and banishing them. In prior sets, this was a little hard to do, but now with very limited removal, this is the best way to start removing characters, and fast. Our Queen has support, our Mulan has support, and as I said earlier, we have those Lumieres to buff our supporters. Our Queen is actually a pretty vital card. While her ability doesn't get used all the time, you typically have at least 1 or 2 princesses being held in hand. Now, it says up right here, at the start of your turn, before you draw, before anything else, you can choose and discard a princess or queen character to return a character card. Not princess, not queen, just a character card. And that's why earlier, we play Daisy. Quest, she gets bombed. Now, later in the game, when you play out your one little queen with a support stat, you're able to discard whatever's in your hand and bring back your Daisy. This also goes really well in combo with the Queen Censor Core to pick up princesses or queens off the top of your deck, and then immediately, next turn, you may pitch them and bring back Daisy, and typically you're going to have the ink to play it. Finally, we have Tiana. Tiana is just Tiana. She is broken, busted ass card. We love her. We love playing her. She is specifically very good for a current Amber combo you may see a lot of people playing, who will pop out a turn 1 Aurora, turn 2, they'll quest her and immediately play Tiana. Very broken combo, very good strategy, very hard to deal with. We only play 3 of her because this is a deck where we want our uninkable count to be as low to the ground as possible. Talk 4-drops. We play Moana, Minnie, and Beak King. We're playing 3 Moanas, 3 Minnie Mouses, and only 2 Beak King Undisputeds. Now, though we're only playing 2 of this Beak King because typically we do not want to waste any time singing it. However, it is great to just pull off the top of your deck, swing at a couple people, and then just sing it to finish off the board entirely. Moana is our little evasive to get rid of Dumbo. Sometimes you don't have her in hand, and that's okay, but she's also really great because of our Queen of Hearts Rusher. Something we're really not seeing in this set is a lot of rush characters. Challenge a character, chosen character gets +3 this turn. In one turn, for only 2 ink, you're getting to swing 4 and then a 5 out of nowhere. Beautiful, beautiful little combo potential there. She is wonderful, especially with Lumiere. We saw it in the last couple sets. I'm glad to see that this combo is still very nasty in Modern. We have the Minnie Mouse. We don't use her first ability, actually. We don't play any Mickey Mouses, although that is something you can do. I just would prefer to play a princess that I can pull off the top of my deck and work with the synergy of the deck instead of playing Mickey Mouse. But we do use her second ability. This is basically a Criminal Mind on legs, and it is really broken if you can start getting it off. Specifically, our turn order of turn 3 Queen or turn 3 Mulan, both having support for 2. We're now killing any 3-drop, or we're now killing any character with 3 attack or more off of supporting and then questing Minnie to banish a 5 attack or more. Beautiful little combo, absolutely disgusting. On top of that, like I said, our Lumiere can buff these Mulans. Turn 2 Lumiere, turn 3 buff a Mulan or a Queen. Turn 4 play Minnie Mouse. As long as they're not able to take any piece of that out, you have a very, very busted little combo going where now anything of 2 attack can die. So let's talk about our 5s and our 6s. Our 5s are just 4 Queen of Hearts and 2 Moanas. As far as 6s go, we are only playing the Mulan Shift. This is our highest ink card, but she shifts for 5, so I'm counting her with the rest of these 5s, because typically you're not hard casting her. Queen of Hearts, as I talked about earlier, is just a little bit of draw power, a nice little 4-3 action to keep her on the board in case an Under the Sea comes by. We do like shifting her sometimes just in case we know a Hades is around the corner. Nice little buff to give us 2 more ink sometimes. But overall, she's a generically good card that I'm glad to see in this set. Moana, pretty niche card. She never really saw much play in the last couple sets. Now I think she really does pull her weight. I only have her as a 2 of because I just don't see much space in this deck to add another one. She does get bombed by Under the Sea with only 1 attack, so even with the Lumiere out, she's pretty easy to get rid of. 6 health, while seeming pretty high, is nothing compared to a Strength of a Raging Fire in this game, with people being able to spam characters with Lady and Aurora and Pluto. She can just be hit really easily. Hades, of course, being another card. You may be at turn 5, while a person playing blue might be at turn 7 already. Pretty common. You're going to play her, they're just going to banish her instantly. But her ability, if she gets to stay on board, is absolutely amazing. As I said earlier, most of this game is being able to keep your characters stayed, untapped, unable to be directly hit. And she unexerts all your princess characters, and you get to gain 3 lore off it. So I don't see any reason, even if you only get 1 turn out of her, she is a great play. Mulan. With no real grab your swords or be prepped, this is the best we have currently. If you don't know her, if you don't know her ability, whenever she attacks another character, she's able to deal that same amount of damage to 2 other characters on board. With her shifting for 5 and us playing Aurora, she actually makes a very good shift target with the 3-drop Mulan. Turn 3 we play Mulan, and then turn 4 we're going to shift her out for 1 less with the Aurora. When she shifts, she actually gets +3 attack though, so now you're doing 5 damage to 3 different targets. Great little card. Love it. Oftentimes people will exert just 1 character just in case, not fully knowing Mulan's effect, as she is a very, very rare card to see this set if someone's not playing Steel. I love playing this card. It is so ugly whenever it hits the board for the other person. Now that we've talked about general deck construction, I think it's time we talk about what the different moves and techs are to this deck to get yourself to the win. If you're going up against Amber Steel or Blue Steel allies, I highly recommend you try and just rush that board faster than they can. You're not going to be able to control all of it all the time, and that's okay, because we're faster than anyone else in this game right now. Specifically, try and mulligan for at least 1 Aurora and 1 Queen Sensor Core. What you're going to do is you're going to play turn 1 Aurora, turn 2 you're going to play the Sensor Core, and then immediately tap Aurora and play another Aurora or a Mulan. That's kind of an optimal turn 1, turn 2. It's going to run your hand out of some cards real quick, but it's okay, we'll slow down as the game progresses. This is going to guarantee you a Standing Princess, an item that gains you 1 lore off a Standing Princess, and a pretty big threat at whatever's coming next off of the fact that you now probably have 2 Auroras out, or at least a Mulan with a pretty good stat line, and free ink on the table at all times. Now, I will admit, that's if you're going first. If you're going second, you might want to lean a little more into the defensive side of things. You know you're going to want to be taking out their stuff. Maybe try and play turn 1 Aurora into turn 2 Tiana. If you can't get Tiana in hand though, it's always good to just try and get the Mulan out there, get things rolling, try and hope for a shift target if you don't already have it in hand. Otherwise, the deck does kind of play itself. You'll understand what the best options are after just playing a couple games with this deck. As long as you know what your opponent's playing, you probably know what you're doing best. If you're going into dogs, I do have to recommend extremely harshly that we play a turn 1 Daisy. Most of these dog decks want cards in their hand, but we want to make sure without a shred of doubt that they do not have Emerald Chromicon or Under the Sea. We're trying to pitch that to the bottom every time. That's one strategy. I don't personally like it. I've had to use it a couple times because I just didn't get what I wanted in hand, but it does work when, but it does work if your luck is right. The other strategy that I've noticed works extremely well is just flood the board with Lumieres. Just flood the board. This typically doesn't happen, but if you can, do not get rid of these guys. Screw the Queen Center Core, screw anything else. Play mono red at this point. We're just spamming Lumiere, Queen of Hearts, and we're spamming them along as best we can. We're just trying to get it out as fast as possible without having to play Aurora. This will work like a dream because it makes Under the Sea impossible, and it gives you some really good swings with the Queen of Hearts Rush, and just trying to get rid of all their characters as fast as possible through the support mini and the World's Greatest Poem of Mine. You are just trying to eliminate everything on their board as fast as possible while making sure they don't have Emerald Chromicon or Under the Sea. Now, as far as how much ink you should have on board, that kind of depends on what you're playing into. If I'm ever playing into a late game deck, or what feels like a late game deck against me, such as Blue Steel Allies, or Blurple, or even Chernadogs, I might just keep 7 on board, 7 or 8. If you're going into a blue deck, they're going to Hades you, so it's a little easier to get to, but I wouldn't stress about it too hard. Once you get to 6, you're already at a good range. The range of ink you want is something where you can tap at least one Center Core, with your 2 ink, and then pull off the top of your deck and know you're probably able to play that princess that you just found, because that's the majority of your draw power, is you always want like about 2 things in hand and a Center Core waiting for you to tap once you get past like turn 6. Now, I know there's plenty of people out there who are going to want to change this deck up, make it a little more like their own, add a couple cards in there so it's not just a deck list they found online. If you are trying to go the more aggressive route, something I've done, and I think worked very well, is adding 4 copies of Thievery and about 3 copies of Good Job. You replace the cards you don't like. Typically, you're going to take out more of the Queen of Hearts and stuff out of the deck if you want to play aggro. I do think while that's good, I think the biggest reason this deck performs really well right now is that it can switch up. It's one of those decks where you can pilot it to go really aggressive into a deck is going to be fast, or you can pilot it as a very controlled deck into decks are going to be a little more mid-range and are going to eventually take control over your stuff. Finally, big thanks to my friend Lance. I think it goes by Lance Boat Snack online. Funny little name. He helped me as soon as I asked. He was all up for helping me make this deck a little more meta in this current format we're in. I've been struggling lately. I don't just have the time to play this game whenever I want, and so I just would really like to shout him out for giving me some ideas to help me change this deck up. He's the one who recommended I add the red Moana and the red Lumiere, and those have become very vital pieces of this deck and have really helped me jump the hurdles I needed to get into this format a little more solidly, and so big thanks to him. Anyways, I'm out.